Hi, I'm Jesse Thorn. Welcome to Put This On. All menswear, no matter how revolutionary, is built on a foundation of hundreds of years of tradition. That's what this episode of Put This On is all about. In a little bit, we'll go talk to the designer Thom Browne, whose goal is to build something new on the back of that tradition. But first, we're going to go to J Press right here in New York City, perhaps the most traditional men's retailer in the world. We're at J Press on Madison Avenue in New York City, visiting with Jay Walter. He runs Made to Measure, among selling many other things here at the store. Jay, welcome to Put This On.
Well, thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. What was your first job in the business?
I worked for a men's haberdasher called the Manhattan Shop, and they featured Manhattan shirts and products at that time. And I went to Brooks Brothers to start a career in their made-to-measure department, and I stayed there for just short of 25 years. So I have a very short dossier there. These are the famous college scarves, what we call them schoolboy scarves, and have the designated color, and on each garment is the label telling you which institution they represent.
Have you always believed in this sort of classic, specifically American aesthetic in menswear?
In fact, in one of the jobs I had, the owner came to me and he said, "Listen," he says, "if you're going to keep dressing this way, why don't you go work in Brooks Brothers? It's not our look." And I said, fine. They were more of on the European kick.
One of the things that always strikes me about J Press is the contrast between these tailored clothes that are extremely sober and accessories and sometimes tweeds that are borderline outrageous.
Well, that's the combination that works. You know, some men want that conservative suit, and they kind of step out by doing something a little outrageous with their shirt and tie. They just don't, just to make a statement, so to speak.
Well, let's take a look at these shaggy dog sweaters.
Okay. I don't think anybody could object to this. It's as collegiate and American wearing as anything could be. I mean, these are the things, like I say, you put them over a gray flannel, you put them over a khaki trouser, you're up a corduroy. That's the look. That's the look.
What were you wearing that the store manager decided to send you off to Brooks Brothers?
I was wearing a button-down shirt, Oxford shirt, with a knit tie, and a blazer that was 3-button and not 2-button, and plain front trousers, just what we do today. And this was 40 years ago. These are the driving caps.
Go to town. 7 1/4. I'm at 7 3. That's okay though. What do you think, Jay? What I always get excited about are the loudest of the loud tweeds. I work from home, so I'm only dressing for myself. And when I'm dressing for myself, I tend to want to wear something that's orange and green.
You could sell a man this jacket with 3 pairs of gray trousers, dark, medium, and light, and a pair of khakis, even a pair of cords. As we enter this area, we have our famous neckwear collection. I like this one. Of course, we specialize in a lot of club stripes, animals, elephants, fleur-de-lis for those people who go to New Orleans a lot. I like pocket squares. I tell a customer, he says, "Should I wear a pocket square?" I said, "I'll only tell you this once. When God made jackets, he put a pocket there." And I think that, if nothing else, the men who wear blazers, I tell them, you must put a pocket square there, because you're telling the world you know how to dress by just putting it in your pocket. Because when people see you for the first time, they're looking at your clothes. They're looking to see if your shoes are shined. I'm wondering how long it'll take to really get back to where men are going to want to wear clothes. And I think when they get tired of not dressing and they put on a decent garment, whether it's a sport coat and slack or it's a nice suit, they're going to get a lift that they're going to say, you know, this is the way I want to really present myself to the world.
Jay, thank you so much for taking the time to show us around. It was really a pleasure.
The pleasure was mine.
First, learn and understand the rules, then break them.
This episode of Put This On is all about tradition, and this interview is about reinterpreting tradition. My guest is the menswear designer Thom Browne. We're in his store here in New York City. He's well known for his charming tweaks to menswear tradition. Thom, welcome to Put This On.
Thank you very much.
So I wonder, you went to college, but you didn't go to fashion school or design school.
No.
You have a degree in economics, if I remember correctly. Yeah. What led you into this career?
In a way, I went to school and I didn't really know what I was going to do past school, and that's why majoring in economics, I came from a family that was more business-oriented. It basically started with finding vintage clothing while I was actually acting in LA and reinterpreting what I would buy in vintage stores and adapt it to myself. And that being really the start of it. I loved old Oxford suits, old Brooks Brothers suits, like really classic old suits that out in LA everybody got rid of when they moved to LA because everybody was basically in jeans and t-shirts.
When you started Thom Browne, what were the traditions that you wanted to celebrate and embrace?
Really well-made American clothing. Much of the worlds of J. Press and Brooks Brothers. It always starts with a classic, like a very classic point of view. And one of the most important things is the quality. Even when I do some pretty out there things for my shows, I want to make sure that people know that it's as seriously made as my classic gray suit.
So you made this amazing skirt suit, which was a suit with a skirt.
Which one? I've done more than one.
Tell me what you like about putting something as outre as a dude wearing a skirt in the context of a man wearing a suit that in many ways is as traditional as you could create.
Well, I mean, especially when I put my shows in front of people, I want to make sure that I make them think. I think anything that's well made will never go out of fashion. So I think that's probably the most important thing for me. In one of my shows, I did a three-legged trouser, which was as seriously made as all of my two-legged trousers.
I forgot about the three-legged trousers.
Yeah.
Those were great.
When you look at even images from the 50s and 60s, which is where the sensibility of most of my inspiration comes from, there was, not as much of a choice for guys, which I think made it a lot easier. And the simplicity of a guy just having almost like a uniform to put on. And I think there's something really powerful and very masculine about just the simplicity of a uniform, in a way.
So much of your inspiration comes from this era in American history, this sort of man in the gray flannel suit time. And that's something that American culture as a whole rebelled against.
Basically, the world of jeans and t-shirts, or that casual world, became, I think, a really horrible new establishment. And my world of jackets and trousers became the anti-establishment. One of the most disappointing things, I think, with guys and girls these days, if they don't have a point of view, or if they don't really know themselves, or they just go along with what everybody else is doing, I think one of the most attractive things about a person is if they have the confidence to actually be themselves and don't mind being, not like everybody else.
Thom Browne in the Thom Browne store in New York City. You can find more good tips on our blog at putthison.com.